Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Bella Gamer, and today we're going to talk about another class from the Starfinder 2E playtest, which, by the way, you can find down in the description below if you want a link to get the free access to it, as everyone has access to it. We're going to be talking about the Soldier. How could I not talk about this big, beefy boy? The Soldier is so cool. I absolutely love it. The Soldier is a 10 per class level plus con, which, speaking on con is their key ability modifier. So they're going to be contending with some of the most HP in the game, only really being surpassed by a barbarian who's particularly good at investing their constitution. So already we're off to a really good start. This also has an additional name because that means their tankiness is baked into their class DC, similar to how it is with the Kineticist. Even though the Kineticist doesn't really make full use of that tankiness unless you go in certain builds, the Soldier is making full use of that tankiness, which is really cool, and it means that you can invest in your survivability and still be able to do damage on top of it, which makes it already an S tier class. But let's talk about what they get. So starting out at level 1, we start off with Trained in Perception. We are expert in Fortitude and Will saving throws. Makes a lot of sense, especially with Reflex being only trained, as this is a big, beefy class. You're not going to be moving anywhere anytime soon. You're trained in Intimidation and a number of additional skills equal to 3 plus your intelligence modifier. And you actually can get more than this depending on your fighting style, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. Now, you're trained in all the way up to martial weapons. Makes a lot of sense. And you're trained in all armor, which is pretty good. So this class is already off to a really good start. And the major core aspect of the Soldier is really the use of auto fire or area fire weapons. Now, you can also go melee, and I'm not going to necessarily talk about the melee stuff here. I want to talk about the gun stuff because Starfinder is Pathfinder with guns, so I'm going to talk mostly about the gun stuff here. But melee is an option, and there is a fighting style predominantly facing that direction. So if you want to go melee, there's a route for you. But let's talk about suppressing fire. So suppressing fire allows us to, whenever we make an attack with a weapon that has either area fire or auto fire, we give it the suppress trait, or we give it suppression. So any enemies that fail their reflex saving throw against our auto fire, because any kind of auto fire, area fire weapons are automatically reflex against class DC. So we're always likely to do at least some damage to the enemies within our big area. If they fail the check, they become suppressed, though it's a little bit stronger because while they still get the -1 circumstance penalty to attack rolls while being suppressed, they also take a -10-foot status penalty to their speeds, which is actually 5 higher than normal suppress, which is only -5. And it doesn't end there. So if they manage to succeed, they're not suppressed, but we can designate a primary target. A primary target must be either the closest enemy to us if we're using a cone or a line, or the most centered enemy in any of our blast or burst areas. We make an additional attack against this enemy, ignoring the unwieldy trait, which the unwieldy trait just makes it where you can't use an unwieldy weapon more than essentially once per round, or for any additional reactions such as reactive strike. But our primary target ignores this feature, allowing us to make an additional strike against a target within our area. Now, this additional strike does consume ammo as normal, but it uses the same multi-attack penalty as we had for our area fire, auto fire, which, considering that both of these are typically 2 actions, is probably going to be your first attack of the round, so most of the time at no penalty. And if we successfully hit the target, they are suppressed until the start of our next turn, similarly as if they had failed the initial save, which they are, by the way, also still a victim to, so they have twice the chance to become suppressed by us, nerfing their attack and nerfing their speed. This is insane, and it makes using area weapons kind of just the biggest deal of being a soldier. While you can go outside of it, I mean, these are some really good options, and it makes you a very good team player, as you are not only making it easier for the enemies to miss your allies, but you're also reducing their speed, preventing them from moving, which might be really good for your allies. Now, in addition to all this, also at level 1, we start off with a fighting style. I'm going to talk about Armor Storm, as that was the most interesting one to me. So essentially, it focuses on being a tank and focuses on using area weapons, no matter who is within range, even yourself. So you never count as being in the area of a ranged weapon you've made an attack with, and you gain resistance equal to half your level against attacks made by your suppressed targets. So if you're blasting an area like ranged weapon into your zone, like a rocket or something, you don't take damage, and any enemies that become suppressed by that attack potentially also just do reduced damage to you, which is insane. You can also disarm, grapple, reposition, shove, or trip, even if you don't have a hand free, which is good because most area weapons, if not all of them, or all of them in this book at the very least, use 2 hands, and you get a +1 status bonus to your athletics checks, disarm, grapple, reposition, shove, or trip suppressed foes. When you successfully disarm, grapple, or reposition, shove, or trip a creature, I don't need to say that all the time, I'm just reading here, it becomes suppressed until the start of your next turn. So not only can you fire your primary weapon, you can fire your weapon, focus fire on a single target, but then you can then try to grapple them, even though it's at a -10 at this point, just to see if we can possibly suppress them. And of course, you could always use Assurance if that is possible to grab the enemy, which is really good. So overall, an insanely good style that makes you extra tanky and just not give a damn about who's in the area, including yourself. It's really, really fun. Speaking about being extra tanky, the walking armory feature is also insanely good because it uses your constitution rather than your strength for the purpose of meeting the requirements for heavy armors. This is really good because that means you don't need a lot of strength, which, to be fair, you are playing mostly a ranged style if you're using the area weapons. So having a high strength isn't high priority, but if you do also simultaneously meet the strength requirements, then you reduce the bulk of your armor by 1, allowing you to carry more, move faster, or whatever. I love walking armory. It really much plays into the play style of the soldier, and it's incredibly good. Some other interesting features, this is also another legendary armor class, getting legendary armor proficiency in all armors at 17th level, and at 19th level, while we don't get legendary proficiency with our big weapons, we do get legendary proficiency with our class DC, which is especially good because that's what enemies are going to be rolling against, making our area weapons as effective as spell casting for the sake of beating DCs, or beating your enemy's rolls, rather, which is really good. So I really love this design idea. I like that they didn't get legendary proficiency in just shooting the weapon, but mostly in doing the area weapon or anything else, as so many like archetypes or whatever use class DC for things, making the soldier incredibly dynamic, at least at level 19. So now I'm going to talk about some of their feats, but I'm not going to cover them all in this video. If you want to check them out in the description below. But first, I want to talk about Pindown because, you know, I love the area fire, auto fire mindset. So as an additional action, you can choose to suppress an enemy. More particularly, you select one creature in the area of a prior area fire or auto fire attack you made this turn that has either the area or automatic trait, which is important. That creature must then attempt its save again against your attack, though this doesn't do any extra damage. It's just to see whether the enemy is suppressed. So you can make darn sure the enemy is suppressed in your area fire with this. And with primary target, you essentially, for 3 actions, area attack, strike an enemy within the area attack, and then make sure someone in that area is suppressed, maybe even your primary target, if you fail to hit them. Pindown is really, really good for that. You are staying down, motherfucker, this is my house. It's really, really good. At level 4, you also get PunishingSalvo, potentially, if you select it, which your last action this turn was an area fire attack specifically. So you make a follow-up strike against your primary target that you designated with the attack again. This ignores the unwieldy trait, so this is essentially area fire, they need to make a save, then you strike with primary target, then spend an action to make another strike against that target, and it allows you to essentially make a strike against a singular enemy with a rocket. Now, of course, it's going to have a lot of map. That's true. That's fair. But it's kind of fun. I do like it. Punishing Salvo is very, very interesting. And actually, I went back. Primary target does not actually consume map. So this Punishing Salvo is only going to be at your second hit, essentially. So -5 more often than not, which makes Punishing Salvo particularly good and just deal a bunch of damage to one target in particular. And the last thing I want to talk about today is Rocket Jump. It's really good now. It requires that you're wielding an area burst weapon specifically, or a missile launcher. Now, you make it's a 2-action ability. You make an area fire, then leap, using your weapon to add a status bonus to the distance traveled equal to double the burst or splash radius of your weapon. So it's a leap plus, oftentimes, I think it's a radius of 10 feet. Which is really, really good. Now, you must be somewhere within the area of this blast to count it, but like you don't suffer the effects of the attack, so you don't need to worry about it. And movement as a part of this action doesn't trigger any reactions, though the area fire still might if, you know, an enemy is adjacent to you. What I actually love about this one in particular is it allows us to area fire, but then also maneuver. Now, you are not doing your normal area fire. So, well, maybe you are. I don't know. Actually, I'd have to read more into this, and it would take a little bit more time than I have for this video. But it says you make an area fire and then leap. Do you pick a primary target? You might actually, which would be really funny and really strong, actually. But yeah, you leap away for just 2 actions. You can still do something with your last action, and this can get you out of a bad situation if you need to. Adding to our bulky suppressing multi-fire Gatling gunner, or probably not Gatling gun for this one, but like, I don't know, some kind of burst weapon, soldier, extra mobility on top of things, which is really, really cool. The soldier class seems awesome. It seems so cool. You can do so many interesting things. And like I said, there are other ways to play the game. You do not have to do just the area fire stuff, even though they have a lot of class features towards that, as they are still just a tanky class. There are other fighting styles that focus on different types of weapons and other feats that also apply to those weapons as well. So, yeah, that's why the soldier is awesome. I'm very curious what you all think about the soldier. I think it's probably one of the more fun classes they've introduced here in Starfinder 2nd Edition. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And hey, while you're down there, leave this video a like. And in fact, if you see any other Starfinder videos out there, give them a watch, probably a like. The more videos we get out on Starfinder 2nd Edition, the more people who get to know about all the cool things in Starfinder 2nd Edition, which is only a good thing, as I would want Starfinder to find the same level of market success, at least as Pathfinder 2nd Edition, even though I know that's not likely the case. I would really like to see that because they're doing a lot of really cool things with this game, and it's such an interesting evolution of the chassis. And if you like my content specifically, go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to be talking about more stuff from Starfinder 2nd Edition, especially when the game releases in full next year, in addition to all the new Pathfinder books coming out for the remainder of the year, and all things tabletop in general. So if you want to be in on the news as soon as it comes out, then you're going to definitely want to join the channel. But that's going to be it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. Good luck with your games. Leave the bad luck to me, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.